no bars. No, that's a song from the Flow Box.
So I just accidentally kicked the video off trying to make, I'm trying to find my list of questions that
We're learning.
And yeah, we're figuring this out. So what I guess I'll start out with is let Danny start on what he wants to talk about. Now, like I was saying when I kicked the video off, there'll be a paywall and you can pay like $5 a month on Patreon, and it helps to offset Danny needing income because he cannot even walk on that foot at all, and he does know electronics and computers and knows how to video. So we're trying to figure out a way to make him just a little bit of money, and at the same time make it to where we can see yeah, if you need any computer information, he can help you with that. I'm his mom. I'm trying to help him out with doing these videos. But anyway, just don't freak out when you see the Patreon. There's a free thing where you can join Patreon, but the paywall, you'll be behind this paywall because of the graphic nature of the video and the wounds and all that. We don't want anyone to be able to get a channel flag down because they were not expecting to see what they'll see. So I'm just going to warn you now, if you want to watch his videos that are on Patreon, there's going to be a lot of graphic content, so if you're squeamish on wounds and things, don't look. But
Patreon link will be,
the link will be in the description of this video. It'll be in the description to his Patreon. You can, like I said, subscribe for $5 a month. That's $1 a week, less than $1 a week if you get a 5-week month. So
you cancel it whenever, but you'll still
you can cancel after you watch. I think there's an option to actually pay for one video, just to watch one video, but I don't know how much it is. We're just new to this. So anyway, without me talking anymore, I'm going to let Danny start saying, just start off with the purpose of making these videos and where he wants to start in his journey toward and through and out of drug addiction.
Well, my purpose ultimately is to bring awareness to how serious. Well, people argue back and forth that it's a disease. It's not a disease, and I used to say it's not a disease. You know, I choose to do drugs. I don't choose to have kidney failure, you know, like my brother does. You know, he didn't choose to have kidney failure. But I had the choice in the beginning to do drugs. And I don't really remember. I remember how old I was.
How old were you?
I was around 14 years old, and I come from a good family. It's nothing. My parents didn't, you know, they didn't bar hop. They didn't, you know, not judging anyone, but you know, I didn't have a rough childhood at all. And I think it was peer pressure that made me start, which not naming any names, but the guy I originally smoked marijuana with when I was 14, he's now dead. And he was a very good friend of mine as a kid, and I lost contact with him over the years. And I love that guy. And he, you know, he's dead now. And I originally done drugs with him, but I didn't do any more for a long time. And I mean, let's say peer pressure is originally why I started, and then I went a long time and didn't do anything. But my goal is to ultimately help people that may see this and even be toying with the idea in their head or they're going through peer pressure, and, you know, this video lands on their feed, or, you know, whatever the algorithm may be, that, you know, God will put this video for them and enable them to be able to see what they need to see, or pay to get, you know, to see the gruesome detail And I say gruesome. To me, it's not. To me, it sounds bad. To me, it's cool to see the inside of my leg, but to some, it's gruesome. And that's why I put up a paywall. Is I don't want YouTube flagging down all this work I'm going to put into this. I don't want to be discouraged, because people aren't seeing it as fast as I want to. Or this will help someone. That's my goal. Um, and to offset, because I can't work. I've got a family. We're hurting, and it's all because of drugs. And I'm trying to find some way to support my family while I'm healing from the damage I've done to myself, and support my family and help somebody and make everybody happy. Which, I need to make myself happy. And today is Good Friday. This is the day that Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and that's just kept resonating in my head and thinking years ago, many, many, many years ago, that a man was whipped and beaten in front of a whole town, in front of everybody, and walked forever with this wooden cross, and was hung in front of everybody naked, and just stabbed with a spear in his side. And he done it all for us. And I've taken that for granted over the years. Never really thought about it on Friday. Didn't even know what Good Friday was. I did, but I didn't realize that this stuff really happened. And I keep looking at all the beautiful things that he's created for us to see every day, to remind us that he is, he did die for our sins, and he is alive in us. And I've taken it for granted. There's just a lot of things that I've taken for granted over the years, and I've done nothing since January 23rd, when I went in the hospital.
What year?
Of 2024,
Yep.
This year. I went in the hospital on my second round of going crazy because of psychosis and thinking I was God. And my parents, I shamed them. Cops is at my house, the ER people, the ambulance, and they took me to the hospital. I thought I was going to kick out the doors of the ambulance and fly away, because I thought I was an angel, and they couldn't hold me down, and I was trying to break the straps on the gurney. And this young girl was sitting there next to me, and I just kept saying, I'm trying to do nothing. She was like, oh, I know. And I just felt comfort, I just took it and laid there, and they treated me like a convict in the ER, which I understand. But I'm rambling. But that's my goal for this video, for Patreon, for all this. My life, my life's goal is to just let my life be a witness to someone and not waste their childhood like I did.
Okay. So I want to see if you would be able to describe what led up to the night of January 23rd, when your dad had to do the hardest thing he's ever had to do in his life, was have you taken to the hospital in an ambulance because you were not yourself, and that's putting it mildly. What led up to that day? Starting with before you burned yourself, which we haven't even mentioned that part.
Yeah.
Go back to when we had no idea that you were even on drugs. You got sick. Start there. He was sick with some kind of stomach issues and going to the doctor a lot, and I was taking him for tests and all kinds of things for them to try to find out. They were doing scopes down his throat. They were doing endoscopies, colonoscopies,
Yeah, I was throwing up.
all kinds of things. Okay, start with that sickness.
Well, we was in Florida, my wife and I, and we had some foster kids at the time, and we took them down, and you know, our kids came down to Florida, and they were all in the hotel room one night. So we went out to look for crabs and whatever on the sand on the beach, and we started walking, you know, looking here and there and here and there. Well, we got way away from the hotel, and I was almost lost. I didn't know where we was at, and I said, we better turn around. So we started walking back to the where the hotel was at, or the condo. It was, you know, right on the beach, not on the beach, but like right there. And I was walking in the water, and my wife was, you know, walking on the sand, and she'd go in the water and look, and something hit me. I just started throwing up. Like, it was our first night there, maybe second night. We stayed for a week, and I mean, I got weak, and I started puking in the water, and I didn't know if I was gonna make it back to the hotel. Well, that's when the throwing up started, and after that, you know, it just got progressively worse. We went to the, you know, one of the dollar stores up there and got some nets, and I stayed in like the hotel room throwing up for a couple days. And well, I mean, I got home and I was still puking, and it's all a blur, because I got off the boat and I was puking then. You know, I was on the boat, I was throwing up the trash can, still trying to work.
Now, you were a boat captain.
Yeah, I was a captain on the Lower Mississippi River, and I ended up getting off the Quinn Harris, or no, the Marquette Water, the James Williams Shipyard in Paducah, and I ended up going to the hospital the next day, because it was on a payday when I got off. It was January 7th of 2021. Yeah, 2021. And I was throwing up, and we went and tied the boat up to the shipyard. And for some reason, I turned around, looked at the boat, and I said, wouldn't that be crazy? And I thought to myself that this is the last time I ever stepped on a boat. And at that time, that sounded just insane to me, because, you know, I was never home. I worked all the time, and I could never even imagine that. You know, me, I started on the boat as a kid, you know, as a young adult, 19 years old. And I could never imagine me not working on the boat. And now, I can't imagine me going back, because there's a lot of temptation out there, and I know every time I've went back to drugs, it's been out there. And whenever I got off the boat on that day, on the 7th of January 2021, I said that to myself. And then now I've not been back on the boat since, and I've made it. I mean, I'm here. You know, I don't have nowhere near the material things I used to have, but I don't need them anyway. And I know that now. And I've lived. This is Paris. She's my girl, not mine. But I've lived and made it, you know, this long without nothing. And Boo's getting in the way. I've learned a lot in these 3 years I've been off work, and I could have went back, but I just trying to find my purpose, my gift in life through God, not through me making myself do something for somebody else. And Boo, you're being so just.
Thank God for editing, you know.
Leave it in there.
Okay, so when you got off the boat, you were sick for real.
Yeah, I had which I didn't know at that time, but I had ulcers in my throat, diverticulitis, anemic, diabetic. The list is I had a colonoscopy and had cancer polyps or precancerous polyps or something, and they cut them out. But I had a lot of things wrong with me, And I am on so many, like 14 different medications a day now.
Well, when you got off the boat sick, how long after that, or were you already doing drugs then, or how long after you got off and you were sick, how long did it take you to really?
When I was on the boat, I was doing them, but nowhere. I was doing them because I think because I was riding so much and I was tired all the time and I was trying to push myself to go further, harder, make better money, to make it, to make people proud of me. And then when I got off, I got into gaming. I was trying to make money that way, and it never would have happened because my temper and my language was just out of control, and I didn't have God at that time either. But like, hold on, Perry. Hold on, baby. I don't know. I spiraled out of control. I quit going to doctor's visits because I was defeated. I was telling mom that nobody listened, nobody cared. The doctors didn't care. They didn't know what was going on. And I told myself that dope made me stop the hiccups, and it would. I mean, it did in the beginning. It made me, I thought, stop because I would do whatever and I would stop immediately.
You would hiccup until you threw up if you tried to eat.
Yeah, I would throw up blood. I mean, I don't even know if I could say blood on YouTube.
Well, this will be a Patreon video. So.
Oh, yeah, I'd throw up blood all over the place. Had a buddy come over one time to look at a truck I had I was going to sell because I needed money, trying to get screwed on, but there was blood all over the floor. I've been puking. I hadn't seen him since high school, and I was like, oh, it's no big deal, it's just blood. And he acted concerned, which in the end, that didn't go well. But, I mean, I passed out in the back of my wife's truck that night and don't even really remember it. And he left, and I just collapsed, just from throwing up. And, hi. And I spiraled out of control until I don't even remember through, the days ran together. I would stay awake and just gave up. I mean, and I just started doing more and more and more drugs.
What kind of drugs were you on?
Meth. I mean,
the worst thing you can get on, just about.
I might have had like 2 little candy pieces of weed, the pot, whatever, edibles. That was never my thing, quote unquote. I liked speed because it made me stay up longer and get more done, which I didn't get. I destroyed everything. I didn't fix nothing or do nothing. But yeah, it led me into going to the hospital twice within a week, and that last time, the ceiling was talking to me, not talking, but it was showing me my life at first, I thought, and then it was showing me the future.
That is meth psychosis. For those of you watching, I had no idea that was a thing. I didn't know anything about drugs. I didn't know my son was on them until he had burned himself, and I just decided to drug test him because he had to use a urinal. He wasn't able to walk anywhere, and I found out he was on them, and that's when I started praying that the Lord would show me when was the right time to do some good, to confront him in the right way, and to get the exact right timing for him to want to get off of them. That's when we found out.
Yeah, the ceiling was like telling me what to do, and we were supposed to be going to look at lights Christmas Eve. I think it was a few days before Christmas. At Patty's, my son wanted to go.
Yeah, that was the first time you had to go to the hospital.
Yeah. And I thought that, I was having chest pains on the way. I didn't want to go. I was just like, I'll sit in the truck, y'all look at whatever. And then it felt like that the ceiling was telling me what to do. And I don't even remember now what all it said, but the ceiling, that is.
Well, it don't matter what it said because that was psychosis talking to you.
But I remember you know, Dad flying down the interstate. You know, he's truly concerned, tires squalling. And then I started acting like a demon and was
Yep.
saying, no, don't take me. And then I was in the truck at the front of the hospital, and I was laughing like, you know, I ain't going, never mind. And I remember being in the truck like this, like I was gonna leap out of the truck, and Dad grabbed me. He said, oh no, you're not. You're going to the hospital. And in the ceiling vision, you know, I was having, I was thinking about it. I remember at the end of it, I uppercutted somebody, and it just showed their teeth flying out of their head. I looked at my dad. I was like, maybe this is when I'm supposed to do it. You know, and then I'll get whatever ceiling told me. And I thought, boy, you're an idiot if you do that. So I just got in the wheelchair, and they took me back, and I started acting all stupid, and I was thinking there was cops there that was going to arrest me, and I was going to go after them. You know, I was calling this guy forgive me, I'm not racist or whatever. I was calling him a faggot. I mean, that's not like me. And I mean, that boy was probably scared to death. I feel ashamed now. But there was one guy there that I could relate with, I felt, because he knew the same people I knew, and I was like, don't tell, you know, Wu-Tang that I was acting like this. That's what I called him. And I don't want to use any names of people.
Try to talk a little louder because you're getting quieter.
Oh, you know, I don't want to use any names of people, but I told, you know, that guy, I said, you know, don't tell Wu-Tang I'm acting like this. You know, just laughing. And then it just so happened the second time I went back, which is like a week later. And during that time, I think I cut my ankle in that span with a pickle jar chasing a crab that was not real, psychosis, which caused this wound I have now. And I went back and I seen that same guy who was there again. And I got there and they was treating me like you know, I was trash. And the guy said I was drinking bleach in the bathroom. It was like, quit drinking, put your clothes on, you know. And I was like, dude, I'm not. And then, you know, the guy that knew Wu-Tang come in there in the bathroom with me. You know, I had to pee in a cup and all that.
That was on the second time of him going to the hospital, though. This wasn't the first time.
And it was funny, you know. I was like, if this guy knows, you know, the guy at Wu-Tang I'm talking about, then he'll know that we called him that. It's, you know, got some cuss words in it, but I was like, Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing with. And he said, you got that right. You know, we wasn't even looking at each other. It was funny in my head. It's probably stupid, but, and it was just.
Okay, well, I don't want you to go any farther into the second hospital visit than right there is where you were.
Yeah.
That's where the second time you went, and that was where you came to rehab.
Here.
Unlike any other that you would have been in, I feel like, because it was a one-on-one thing. And I don't want you to go any farther into it. Right now the video is 23 minutes and 2 seconds, and we're going to wind this up as part 1 of the journey away from meth, whatever you decide to call it.
Yeah, and this video is probably a bit confusing too.
No, it's not. And but we're going to stop that right there. It'll be part 1, and we will be back as soon as we can get our thoughts together for part 2, and you can continue to hear the testimony, and we'll probably get into greater detail on part 1 at some point of what he went through. But there you go, there's the starting of it. Hope you come back for part 2.